Thank you to UPR Info for providing me the opportunity to speak. My name is Lent Fugui, a Franciscan Anglican brother from Solomon Islands. I present this statement on behalf of a coalition of Franciscans and Dominican NGOs. In the previous UPR cycle, several states made statements and recommendations on the issue of natural resources exploitation as well as climate change. Our focus for this presentation is the impact of logging activities in Solomon Islands on human rights. In the activities of natural resources exploitation in my country, in particular logging activities in the customary land, there is a lack of participation and consent of local communities affected by logging plans and operations. In some cases, the environmental and human rights issue we raised during timber rights hearings in the process are not taken into consideration by the provincial government. In Lavovasa, Guadalcanal Island, we observed that logging activities are left behind great devastation. When the loggers harvest large trees, they end up destroying other small trees. The consequences of the destruction of forest and land are considered very severe by the community, as well as now eroding, water sources dried up, rainfall is not dispersed efficiently, flash floods happen more regularly, as well as more droughts and landslides. The diversion of the economy towards logging has impacted the traditional ways of life. In my country, fishery is a key source of livelihood. However, fish resources have declined because of sedimentation of rivers and reefs. This is a result of runoff from upstream cutting areas and log pond are woven constructions. In February to March 2020, major floods in the Guadalcanal province impacted our schools. The Shepherd College of the Church of Melanesia, located in a coastal area surrounded by forest. The flood affected areas to save drinking water, sanitary facilities, food gardens of the school, as well as the rural health center next to the school. As the septic tanks were flooded, there were serious concerns regarding the health impacts. Floods are believed to be exacerbated by logging activities in the upstream area around the school compound. There have been severe allegations of sexual violence related to the presence of logging companies and their foreign workers. A report on the gender effects of corporate logging in Malta Islands found that women in the region experience sexual exploitation. Women are also disproportionately affected by logging and mining activities, in particular in the cases where women have a limited role in negotiation on land. Women have often been neglected in decision making. In 2018, five environmental activists known as Nende 5 were in prison for opposing the logging activities in the primary forest on Nende in Santa Cruz Island in Temotu province. While three of activists were acquitted, one activist is facing life imprisonment for arson and another was convicted of larceny and unlawful damage. Their lawyer stated that their confession were given under duress. We are very much concerned on the impact of logging activities on climate change. Despite its commitment to mitigate climate change, the government of Solomon Islands has not submitted its revised nationally determined contribution. The forest in Solomon Islands has been contributing to the world's carbon sink. However, if the deforestation continues, the impact of logging activities will be very significant for the environment, not only for Solomon Islands, but also the global efforts to mitigate the impacts of climate change. We should like to propose the following recommendations to the government of Solomon Islands. The government should protect human rights against abuses and environmental degradation by logging companies and ensure effective remedies when abuses occur. It should also take appropriate legislative and administration measures to ensure that the use and exploitation of natural resources do not adversely affect the enjoyment of economic, social, and cultural rights, as well as to ensure that through all stages of the logging process, the rights to the participation and information of affected communities are fully respected in accordance with international standards. The government should undertake awareness raising programs on the environmental, social, and human rights impacts of logging, and on the rights and protection people shall enjoy, including programs targeting women and youth, and take appropriate legislative administration measures to ensure that the use of exploitation of natural resources do not infringe the rights of local communities to dispose freely of their lands, territory, and natural resources in accordance with international standards. It is important to guarantee the effective protection of people at risk because they defend their rights or the rights of communities, the land or the environment in the context of logging projects. The government should ensure that all violations committed against defenders are thoroughly and impartially investigated and that victims are provided with effective remedies. The government should ensure effective protection against violence against women and children, including sexual abuse and exploitation and domestic violence, with a focus on communities affected by logging activities. Finally, the government should ensure access to sufficient safe drinking water and adequate sanitation for the entire population, including those who are affected by or even active in logging activities, as well as to adopt a coherent and comprehensive mitigation and adaptation climate policy and actions based on human rights, norms, and principles. Thank you.